Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Rule the Roost podcast on a Thursday. How you doing, Ollie? How's it going, mate?
I'm very well, Jack. How are you?
Not bad, mate. Not bad. You gotten over the double cup exit? What can we call it? Not like Brett Kexit. Yeah, I mean, I was trying to think. Huh?
Cuxit.
There you go. Well,
There you go.
sounds like something somebody
You
on
get up to at the
Trump's
weekend,
team fire at somebody. Elon Musk would call someone out on Twitter, wouldn't they? Politics, eh?
Oh.
Speaking of politics, there's been a lot of talk this week that there's going to be a big Qatari takeover bid launched that is, as prophesised, going to see Daniel Levy stay in charge of the football club. Now, are you buying this, Oliver, or are you one of the people that thinks this is just Donna culling up to no good ahead of the protest, as has been positive by many?
Yeah, I mean, I imagine there's a kernel of truth to it. I don't think they're that kind of Machiavellian to try and come up with some sort of, don't worry guys, we're getting the Qataris in to make people feel better, because I just think, I wouldn't like unknown Qatari businessmen that are in no way associated with the Qatari government to be the owners of my beloved football club.
It's a bit of a random one, that, isn't it? It's like, it's not thought to be anybody related to the government, any sort of, royal family, just some guy.
Just some guy. We don't know his name. Lots of money, billions, in fact. But it's not the first time we've had stories or there's been links to Qataris in the past, isn't there? And obviously there was interest from them and United not so long ago before Ineos took over there. So, it doesn't really surprise me. I imagine there's some truth to it. It would be awful on multiple levels if they were to take over, and if Levy were to remain in charge, it was literally the worst of both worlds.
But I mean, this is the reality, right? For the I hope Tottenham sell up crew. Some people are fine with it, other people aren't. But the reality is, it will be somebody like this, won't it? It will be somebody that probably isn't going to make everybody very happy if the club does get bought, right? Whoever's got 3.95, I think it's valued at. I said £7 billion a few weeks ago on a podcast. I don't know where I got that from. But apparently £3.95 billion. So just shy of £4 billion the club is valued at. Somebody that's got that sort of dosh to just swing about and buy football clubs probably isn't going to be a massive socialist, I think.
No, and anyone who has that sort of money is bad. You don't need that sort of money. If you've garnered that much, you're bad. Maybe a nice billionaire.
Wheel out the guillotines.
Exactly. Oh yeah, I mean, that is the issue, really. There's no kind of perfect owner. I guess what I'd want really is, and it's pretty grim, and it's come to this, is some sort of another private equity firm, in the shape of like what Liverpool have.
Yeah.
Where they've actually got interest in the sporting side of things, not just the real estate and property portfolios and entertainment.
What is it? I think just oil and arms sales, isn't it? I think.
Yeah.
Just that. It's a bit of that. Yeah. Speaking of the establishment, King Charles himself was at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. He was at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium yesterday, and he had a very interesting chat with Bethany England and Son Heung-min, Captain Son Heung-min. Weirdly enough, and I mean, I shouldn't be that surprised that a member of the royal family is that kind of insulated from popular culture and society in general. But it genuinely seemed like he had absolutely no idea who Son was. Which, did you see their exchange? Did you see the video?
I've only seen a few clips. I saw him kind of asking how the season was going. It's like,
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
There's like Levy awkwardly kind of smiling behind in the background.
Yeah. Come and have a look at these change rooms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're really big. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's not surprising. I guess it's a bit surprising that we haven't had a kind of dignitary along sooner, given how much of a jewel the stadium is in London. What I found weird was when he's walking out, he's got some like, I was like, it must be his bodyguard or something at first, but it was like some NFL player, God knows who. Like you got Sonny and Beth England like walking behind this NFL dude, and then they're throwing around American football. What? It's just like
because I was going to.
This really triggered me.
Has it triggered you? Because it's triggered quite a few people.
Yeah.
They're saying again.
I know it's so
again,
sad.
Tottenham Hotspur's thing is chucking NFL balls about, American footballs about. It's, I mean, I'll be brutally honest. I didn't really care, but I get it. I get the optics, if you like. I get why it's just
every time anything every time we try to do anything kind of public outside of the football side, and unless it's kind of like the community initiatives, which I think are generally quite good, they just always seem to get it wrong.
See, now this is where I would jump in. The only thing I would say is this NFL thing. That's why Charles is there. It is a community initiative, from my understanding.
Right.
That this is it's essentially like a skills sharing thing for young people or something like that. So that's kind of like, I mean, it didn't really bother me anyway. But that also to me is also that's why he was there. He was there for this.
So he's selling our national game down the river.
That's it. It's the king himself.
For the Yankee dollar.
And once again, mate, we arrive at the point of bring out the guillotines.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That's it. We're back there again. Again. But we were, Sonny obviously did feature very prominently on that. He is the club captain. He is the club's only superstar, really, to be honest. 1 goal and 1 assist in his last 8 games. He had that, I think a lot is being made of it, but players of his profile are going to be under the microscope when they're not performing. That horrible miss against Aston Villa.
Shocker.
Yeah. Just for some context, in that game, he registered only 23 touches against Aston Villa. The only player to have less touches was Mikey Moore, who on 18, who went off at half time.
I imagine 2 of those were kickoffs as well, maybe 3.
Look, the rumour is at the moment, Twitter again, but seemingly it's being spread that Tottenham are actually considering parting ways with Sonny in the summer. I mean, how do you feel about that? Do you think he's simply tired, the system isn't playing to his strengths, or do you think it is the beginning of the end for him?
I think all of those things, really. But it being the beginning of the end does not mean it is the end, and it does not mean he still can't contribute a lot. He obviously is playing far too much football for a man of his vintage, and had he had there been more support for him in those wide areas, then he probably would be putting in better performances. But the system as well, it doesn't lend itself to his kind of unique skill set. And that's been the case since Ange took over as manager. He likes his wingers to kind of get to the byline and stay wide. Where Son's best days have been like either when he's been effectively playing up front in a 2-man Kane and Son pivot type scenario, or he's been cutting in from the left and either driving into the box or taking a shot, and that's just doesn't seem to want him to do that. When was the last time we really saw Sonny go for a period of 20 yards out and having a shot?
Was it? I think the last time I saw him score like a Sonny type goal was it against Elfsborg or somebody, when he scored that goal when he cut in and just slotted one in the far corner, and you were suddenly like, "Where's that been? Where's Sonny been?" Like it feels so.
But
strange.
I think a lot of it is instruction, and he has
that game away in Germany. That's where it was.
No, right, yeah. And although he's having a poor run of form at the moment, his assists have actually gone up quite a lot compared to what they were previously, I'd say. He was much more of a goal scorer than a goal provider. And he's put in some really good assists. I can't remember what game it was, but there was this cross that he put in. I think it was for Johnson, where he's used his left foot and put it across the face of the goal from out wide. And he's done that a few times this season. And that's not something were used to seeing from him previously. But it is not his core strength. So to kind of go back to your question, a combination of all of those things which have just led to a decline in output, really. So
I think because you can look at things like that. I've used that metric there about his touches to kind of illustrate the point that he's perhaps not as influential as you'd like, but that's not entirely on him, is it? That's as much about the players around him and their ability to actually get the ball out to him. It's also about the system. Again, like I say, not really catering to a player with Sonny's individual talents. I mean, for me, like, what's the value? Like, what do you sell Sonny for now? I mean, we've got a year left on his contract. You probably sell Sonny for 25-30 million to Bayern Munich. They can have a nice little fanfare, reunite Kane and Son. Do they even do that? I mean, I don't even know if they need him. Sane, Elise, players like that on the pitch, Gnabry as well. So what really happens to Son? And I think to me there has to be a real. Take the sentimental stuff aside, which you shouldn't really. You shouldn't have to say this guy's our club captain. He's been, one of our. Let's just show him the same sort of loyalty he's shown us, right? But for the people that will say, well, bin off the sentiment, all that type of thing, I think it really does neglect the fact that without Son, there's a lot of gloss gone from Tottenham.
Yeah.
There really is. Like, even if you don't think he's fully up to it on the pitch yet, we talk about. Well, that's it. You talk about making a new signing, making a big new signing to elevate the profile of the club. Sonny is one of the biggest players on the face of the planet still, and he plays for us. He's our club captain. You can't put a value on how much that means to signing new players, the young players that are playing underneath Sonny that clearly love him, that clearly have so much affection for him. Mikey Moore, Bergvall, Gray, all those sort of players love Sonny. They obviously love playing alongside him. I just think people have got to be careful what they wish for,
If you're going to sell Son, there's got to be a good reason for it. You've got to be, we're going to sell him and things are going to be better as a result. If it's selling him just because he's getting on a bit, a year left on his contract, might get a bit of cash that we can reinvest, but it's not going to, change the world. There's got to be a clear route forward from that point happening. Otherwise, there's no point in doing it, because even though he's not performing as well, we've discussed a few reasons why I think you're right in saying that if the ball's not getting to him, he can't really be that effective. And the midfield at the moment is performing appallingly, and that's as big a contributor as any dip in form or fatigue Son's having. But that all said, if you get rid of him, who are you bringing in? What's the plan for that? If it's Tell, maybe great. I don't know. Obviously, Mikey Moore's going to come through at some point, but they're all like over 10 years younger than him. So you're getting rid of someone with a hell of a lot of experience. Is a pivotal character in the club. Can still contribute, I believe. Probably needs to be managed better. But without a really justifiable reason and a kind of, this is part of still an ongoing huge overhaul, we're going to see substantial investment into the playing squads, then I just don't see the need for it. And then bringing in sentimentality to it, it's on. He's been there 10 years. He's given his career to the club. Just let him stick around.
I mean, it's dealing in these absolutes, isn't it? There's a big difference between like there's this habit amongst people just to be like, just get rid of him, get him out of the club. But like you say, what purpose does that? So what's the, he's not like completely. He's not a problem within the team by any stretch of the imagination. Quite the opposite. So
he's not Timo Werner, is he?
No, I mean, isn't the sort of the smarter thing to say, let's begin phasing him out? If you are of that persuasion to say, get rid of him, surely you want to have another season or two of Son perhaps being a super sub, as opposed to Son who you just sell to Dortmund or whoever, and then you see him going and tearing up trees in the Champions League next season or whatever. Just grow up a bit.
And I don't put it beyond him to, maybe this season's a bit of a write-off for lots of reasons. And the next season he comes back and actually he's not Son, but he's loads better than he was and contributing goals and assists at a much higher rate than he has been at the moment. So, yeah, I think it's a very risky decision to get rid of him. And if you're going to take that risky decision, you've got to have, iron cast plan. So, which I doubt we have.
Dragusin has come through his surgery and he's vowed to come back stronger. Good luck to the lad on a human level and all that type of thing. But on a cold-hearted, horrible level, it's quite annoying that we're not going to be able to sell him this summer now, isn't it, really?
I don't know. I think he's quite useful to have around. He's had a tough time. He really has. And he's been playing through injuries. He's quite a lot, really. And it's a bit unfortunate that not unfortunate in the global sense, but a bit unfortunate for him that Danso's come in and looked, much more suited to how we play than Dragusin. But then Dragusin has had some really good games for us. He's still relatively young. But you're probably right on a cold-hearted level, but I have no ill feeling towards him.
I don't have ill feeling per se, but he's just not. The thing is, I was quite up on him before and getting pelters for that, and now I'm suddenly like, I don't know, it didn't do it for me. Well, yeah, good luck to him. Let's end on, mate. And there should be plenty to talk about on this. The protests coming up this Sunday. How do you feel about all that? Will you be in attendance?
I won't. Rosa, my other half, Hometown Glory. She's going.
No plugs on there, please. Thank you.
Just mugs. She's going. So yeah, for once, it does seem to have a broader appeal. I think part of that is because even the moderates, and I would class myself as one of them, who are not purple and gold spitting bile about Levy, of all the kind of nastiness that came along with that as well. There does seem to have been a few people have kind of got together and thought, how can we do this in a more family-friendly way? And you've got some pretty good ideas, I think. As with anything, though, you're taking a risk. I think the march before the game, that should be quite well attended. I have concerns, not concerns, it doesn't bother me, I wouldn't go. I don't like protests anyway. But I wonder if the sit-in that's planned will be successful, that's all. Just because if we win, everyone's going to be like bouncing, and they probably want to go for a drink and have a chat with their mates and stuff, and the idea of, and it's going to be fucking cold on Sunday, just sitting in the ground doing nothing after a good win seems like people would just go, yeah, maybe another time. And if we lose or get a draw, everyone's going to have the fucking hump. So yeah, in a way, I think thinking it out like aloud, if we have a poor result, it kind of helps the protests in a way, but not the football team.
Have you seen much like? Do you think it's going to be popular? Have you seen much sort of noise around it on social or anything? Certainly
more noise. I mean, the fact that it's it's getting written up in, I think Matt Law, who he's done pieces about it. I think it's been on the BBC. Obviously, Billy T's done bits on it on the BBC as well. He appeared on that TV show. You, Jack, you've been on the BBC as well. Spouting stuff.
Mainstream media man.
Exactly. The press barons that you are. So it's obviously got a lot more public. Yeah, I can't fucking think of the word. It's more public this time, publicised. So I think for that fact alone, it should be better attended. The last time there was one, and it was outside, you kind of round by the club shop. Actually, I thought there were more numbers. There weren't like significant numbers in comparison to how many people at the match, but there were quite a few people there.
Is that the one that the rabbi was wandering around out the front of?
Oh, the weird ice cream.
Sort of took the limelight a bit, didn't he?
He's a bit of he's a wally, isn't he?
Don't know.
Just based on what I've seen.
Oh, right, okay. So it casts aspersions over people, dear.
Yeah. It's much quicker and saves having to get to know someone. Yeah.
Not buying that book. Don't like the cover. That's you in a bookshop, mate. That's you in a bookshop.
We'll be seeing dead in one. So, yeah, yes. And I hope it is successful. I really do, because it can't go on. But as with... There is a part of me that is a bit worried that, ultimately how much impact can it have? Because a protest can't buy a club. And Levy can just bury his head in the sand. So aside from it being kind of embarrassing and, hoping that he's embarrassed into changing his ways, and I'm not sure he's the type of character that really cares. I think he's so high on his own supply that he thinks he's right.
But I do wonder how much, I don't know, the image of it. There's a part of me that wonders if, for certain bands or whatever, if they don't want the association with Spurs, if that will ever come, because Spurs is becoming such a ridiculous thing now. Do you know what I mean? Like, you just have to turn on Sky Sports. The darts is on tonight, and the darts, it will all be Tottenham get battered everywhere they go. Yeah. It's in Glasgow, It's Tottenham are becoming synonymous with that. I do wonder if there will ever be any bleed through to whoever an act. I mean, I say that we've got Beyonce and Kendrick Lamar coming.
We'll end up with Drake being the only person that will come.
Yeah. So I doubt it. But do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If the brand starts to become toxic,
I guess with like American pop stars and the lights, they don't fucking know. They probably don't know what Tottenham Hotspur is.
No.
They probably.
Oh, they play soccer here? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The NFL place?
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah, it's a fair point on it. I think, the only way anything will ever change is when it hits them in the pockets. And unfortunately, that is the hardest thing to encourage people to do. I'm not going to not have a beer at the ground.
Shill.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't care. I'm there for my day, and I want to have a beer.
But I mean, this is the
but
thing,
that's
though,
the thing.
isn't it?
Yeah,
because there's a lot of people, I'd say the majority of people are like you in that respect, in that, you know what, I've had a crap week at work, I've got this stuff on, I turn on the news, it's miserable, I just want to go to the football and have a beer, you know?
With my mates.
And, you know, that's the thing, and I don't think it's jokes aside, I think people will... You do have people that will, and I don't think this movement is that. I'm not saying this movement is that, because I think they're making clear. They're really trying to make a clear delineation between themselves and the previous sort of vociferous purple and gold stuff. Who would be more likely to say you're some sort of a scumbag or idiot or whatever? Get abusive because you're one of those idiots that has a drink at the game. Whereas I think, I don't know, it feels like this movement... I don't know if you read the statement, but they were all like the flyer, but they were really at pains to keep saying, like, on the march, on the sitting, everything, don't be abusive, don't do abusive chanting. We're there to just simply make the point that, you know, we want a change, if you like. Yeah. And this is kind of the issue, isn't it? When people have had a few and everyone's a bit angry, these things can... quickly descend, and people can be discredited, can't they? For the actions of the minority.
Absolutely gone about it the right way, and there will probably be some off-colour stuff said, I imagine, because that's what happens. But I think most people go in there with good intentions, and just want to make their voice and their feelings heard. It's just, like I said, it's just such a difficult thing, and it is frustrating. Because as football fans, we're powerless. You can protest against for political causes or anything like that, right? And the government may or may not listen to you. Usually they won't. But at least with the government, you get a chance to vote them out every few years. We've got a fucking dictatorship. There's fuck all we can do, and I do feel. They'll do everything in their power to disrupt it or limit its impact. We've got bloody people trying to tear banners out of hands. These, stewards and stuff, they're probably paid a pittance. And they're being asked to kind of confront fans and take things out of their hands, go around popping balloons. It's like, it's a fucking balloon. Like, if it gets on the pitch, it will just get removed. But, just getting people to do that is so fucking... It's so grim. Could you go around popping those balloons, please? It's making the club look bad. It's like... These people are there to make sure the crowd is safe and can help people, if they're in assistance. They're not there to
safety regulated, and the balloons might be flammable or something.
Oh,
that's literally what it is, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but there's fucking bollocks, though, isn't it? And we all know it's bollocks. And I'm not going to be spoken to as if I'm not going to be deliberately obtuse like that. Just because they want to pretend that that's what it's all about. You do that. You make yourself look like a complete wanker by talking like that. I'm just not going to go along with it.
But it's that whole 1984 thing, isn't it? It doesn't matter about the objective truth. You have to don the eyes of the party and view reality as the party wants you to view it, kind of thing. Yes, I am a middle-aged white man.
Four fingers. Yeah,
I am a middle-aged white man talking about George Orwell and 1984 on the internet.
You won't get this anywhere else.
I am edge. I am edge to the max. I don't know, mate.
Christopher Hitchens,
yeah. It's just
what a mind.
What we need to do is everybody needs to just eat a diet of meat. I can't even remember what that fella's name is. What is it?
Jordan Peterson.
That's the one. Jordan Peterson.
It's fucking Kermit the Frog prick.
Kermit the Frog. It's just descended into that. It's descended into that. Look, mate. I mean, just kind of. Do you think you could just sit Daniel Levy down somebody and just be like, mate, come on, just fuck off now. Go on, just sell it. What do you need to do? What do you need this stress for now?
Why do they need all that money? Why don't they just sell it for less than?
Exactly. You're so much posh. You can fuck off to the Bahamas, right? Get a lovely house and not have to worry about anything ever again. Like, what are you doing? Just let the proles. Let the proles have their pig ball, and just let us enjoy it again. Do you know what I mean? Like, no.
No, he won't do that. He won't. Because people are obsessed, aren't they? And eventually, it's not. It is and it isn't about the money, I guess.
It's about the power as well, isn't it?
It's the power, and it's like I know, like 2 billion is more than anyone would ever need. But it's like, but I could get 4, and so it becomes like the pursuit of it.
What's that, there's that mental thing, is it, when it's like, yeah, because it's hard to wrap your head around how much money is, but it's like, I think it's, is it 1 million seconds is like 11 days, whereas 1 billion seconds is like 30 years, which is kind of wild, you know?
That's what it's like listening to this podcast. That's what it feels like.
1 billion seconds of joy, non-stop fun-a-thon.
Yeah, some of these.
Are we going to beat Man United?
Yeah, I think we will, actually. I think they're probably the only club out there that's more of a basket case than us.
What is it about us two? We keep finding ourselves in these kind of crunch points, don't we, where it's like, basically, you're both... Remember El Sakico from a few years ago?
I can't quit you.
Yeah. Like, we're both shit, and really, like, if one of us loses this one, we're really shit,
Yeah.
you know? Because that's how it would feel. That is how it would... If we
It's
lost
a proper
to this
wooden spoon
United-
game, isn't it?
Yeah, if we lost to Man United at White Hart Lane, you'd be like, God, even they've beaten us. But if you beat them, at the moment, it's like, yeah, well, we sort of should be beating them.
Beating United's always class anyway.
Oh, it is brilliant.
I love it. I hate them so much. Hated them forever.
Did you? I did mine because I stopped Arsenal.
Yeah, but it was more... Because it predated Arsenal as well, my hate for them. So it's kind of... It's part of my character, really.
Would you believe, like, in our day, growing up, if somebody told you Manchester United would have been this bad for this long, you simply... It's hard to make that point to anybody that much younger than us, quite how invincible Manchester United seemed for so long.
It's to the point that when Blackburn won the league, I remember fucking hell, I am old. recording Match of the Day, and I watched it back loads when I was a kid, just because they drew with West Ham, didn't they? When Blackburn won the league, and Blackburn lost. That was it. They lost at Anfield 2-1, but because United couldn't beat West Ham on the final day, they won, and it was just like, it was fucking huge story.
Was it the FA Cup? I think it was the FA Cup, wasn't it? Remember when York City beat them in the 3rd or 4th round, and it was genuinely like front page news.
It's like fucking Cobra meetings being called and shit.
I want to see what game it was. York City, Man United. No, it was the League Cup. It was the League Cup. York City won 3-0 at Old Trafford. That is quite wild.
Bonkers.
In what year was that? That was the 95-96 season. Just for your records there.
So I'd have been 11.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I mean, Man United's... I still sort of think they'll be back one day, but let's hope this day is not Sunday, and we can put them to the sword. Are you hopeful for the rest of the season? Do you think it's going to go all right?
I think it's going to get better, I believe. I think we'll...
You reckon? But, I mean,
yeah, I do.
Brentford was a big result, right?
It was a big result.
Big performance as well.
And I think because things have been so grim, you just kind of... You get into like a headspace that's like, you look at the fixtures, you go, you can't win that, we can't win that, we can't win that. But actually, football never works out like that, and I think Brentford's a perfect example of that, because matches aren't played on paper, as they like to say, but things just go weird. You get weird results. And someone gets into form, other teams are allowed to have their own problems, or a stinker, or whatever, and you end up just picking up the odd result here and there, and then a bit of optimism comes back. I mean, we've done our best to get rid of any optimism from the Brentford result, thankfully. So, back down to rock bottom. Only way is up.
Baby,
yeah.
For you and me now. Yeah,
true.
I think that's a nice place to end that one, Ollie. But thank you very much for coming on.
You're welcome.
Thank you for adding your sage wisdom to this discussion.
I know. I hope people have taken something away. It's nice to give something back to the community.
That's it. Yeah. And
Right.
I no doubt will see you in the press afterwards, being the man with a scarf wrapped around his face, chucking a Molotov cocktail at the stadium on.
That's it. But
Sunday.
yeah,
Ruining the protest for everybody.
yeah. Gonna go and get myself arrested, as Gomez once sang. Right, that's enough.
See you later.
Bye.